What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on What the Sheet. And in today's episode, we're going to be turning this pile of 1x material and 1/4-inch plywood into. And so basically what I'm going to be doing is making 12 of my medium or large size crates that a lot of people have been using for dog toys or blankets, or kind of just general storage out in like your living room or family room or something like that. And then 6 of the medium-sized ones as well. So that's what all this material is here. The only thing that's not on this stack right now is another small sheet of 1/4-inch plywood, but I have some behind me that's left over from other projects. And basically what's going to happen is all the 1x4 is going to be the top and the bottom rails. The 1x3 is going to be that middle rail, and then all this 1x2 is going to be the supports that separate the rails out. And then the 1/4-inch plywood is just going to be the base. So all I got to do is I'm going to batch this whole thing out. So I'm going to cut all my long pieces from the 1x4s, and then I'll come through, adjust my saw down, and I'll cut, just progressively get shorter and shorter pieces out. And everything is just going to get stacked over here. And once you go from here, everything's cut. We'll move over to my Kreg jig. We'll pocket hole all the pieces, all the main rails together. An extra step I'm going to do this time is I'm actually going to bring out my router table, and I'm going to put a bevel on the edges of all these boards. And that way, if people are using it for their kids' toys, or just kind of breaking that edge up a little bit, I want to do that before I assemble it, because it's a lot easier to do it when it's in pieces versus when it's all assembled. Trying to get in them with sanders is a pain in the ass. So we do that first, and then once that's all done, then we'll come back and I'll stain everything while it's still disassembled, so I can get in all the nooks and crannies. And then after that, all it is just a matter of assembling all the crates together. Most of this video is just going to be me time-lapsing the crap out of it, just because watching me cut 300 pieces of wood is not going to be that exciting. So we're going to get started. I've already got my miter saw set up with a stop block, because I have to cut like 60 something pieces at 22 inches. So instead of using my Recon measuring tool, I'm just going to set up a stop block for everything, because I have to batch out at least 20 to 30 of each length. So the Recon tool still works. Everything's working great on that. It's just when I'm doing large numbers like this, it's just a lot easier just to have a stop block where I can just run in, hit it, and then cut it. And I don't have to worry about trying to measure it and get it exact, because it works great for small batches where I'm only having to do like 5-10 pieces. But large batches like this, where I'm doing 60 plus of a certain length, it just is a heck of a lot easier to just set up a stop block and then just cut it that way. So I'm gonna get started, and I'll catch you guys when we are setting up the router table. Okay, so we got all of our pieces cut. So this side here is all of our large crates, and this side here is going to be our medium crates. So with all the lumber that I bought, it was like 27 of the 1x4s. I think it was 13 of the 1x3s, and then I think I got 8 of the 1x2s. That's enough of that pine board to make 18 crates. Yeah, 18 crates. So 12 of the large ones and 6 of the medium-sized ones, and then 1 full sheet of 1/4-inch plywood will make 12 bases for the large crates, and then basically I think it's like 1/4 of a sheet of plywood will make bases for the small crates. So that's one thing I still have yet to do. Like I said, I've got that 1/4-inch sheet there from other projects that I'll use for the bases for the little guys. What we're doing next is I'm going to get my router table out, get that set up, and we're going to do a small round over on all of these pieces, except for the supports, just because they're going to be on the inside like that. So you don't need, I'm not going to put a round over on them because you're not going to be really touching them with anything. If anything, you only have the one corner that's out, so it's not that big of a deal. So that's the next step, is putting the round over on these. And then after that, we're gonna do a quick sanding with my belt sander just to get off any of the stampings, any dirt, scuffs, any rough spots, get them all down to the same kind of feeling overall. And then it's assembling the boxes, the small individual boxes, and then staining, and then final assembly where I actually put the rails stacked up and the bases on, all that jazz. We're about halfway there. And then we should be done hopefully get it done today in under 8 hours. That's the goal. So I'll be doing a time lapse of me routing the corners over, and then we'll come back when we start sanding and assembling. Okay, so we got everything sanded, kind of organized, and I've done some resorting. So my plan is to, since I'm taking this to a craft show, hopefully gonna pre-sell some of these things. So what I mean by that is I'm gonna make them before they're actually sold. So they're not gonna have any customization, like any pet names or anything like that on them. So what I'm gonna do to hopefully speed up the process here is everything that you see on this table is all gonna be stained brown. So that should be, I've taken 8 of the large crates in brown, and then it should be 4 of the medium crates in brown. And then over on this table, I've basically separated out. So this is 2 crates here of the large ones, and these will be stained with a gray paint, and then these ones over here will just have a clear finish on it, similar to the workbench the blanket chest. So that'll be a Danish oil finish on these. So these will just kind of be like a golden brown, kind of similar to what that flag table looks like. I'll go over and kind of show you. So it's not much different than what the boards are now. It just kind of darkens them up just a touch and makes them a little bit more golden. So like I said, we're gonna have 2 of these large in the golden, clear finish is what I'm calling it. 2 in the gray, and then the rest will be brown. That's usually what sells pretty good. And then over here I have separated out 2 medium crates. One will be brown, or one will be gray, and one will be the clear finish. Okay, so we got a few of my crate pieces stained, and I set up a little jig here on my table. And basically how this is going to work is I'll take the long piece and a short piece. I'll move these out of the way here. and I'll slide them in like that. And these are the bottom rails, so one side's got a flat bottom, the other side's got the rounded over top. And since this is the bottom, we want to make sure that it's as flush as we can get it. And then when we run the screws in, this will hopefully keep it as flush on the outside as possible. Nothing's perfect. The boards aren't exactly the same thickness or height-wise, and then also width-wise. So everything's a little imperfect, but that's kind of what happens when everything's handmade. So basically, what I'll do is I'll go through. I'll put the 2 screws in here, and then I'll do all the halves basically, and then I'll flip it around and do it the exact opposite way. And then once those are all done, I'll just go through and we'll get all the gray ones done today. So these 2, that'll make 2 crates, and then I'll show you how I attach the bases, which is really simple. I just use my Milwaukee stapler, put some staples in, and then I go back over with the hammer and tack them flush. Okay, so we got the boards in the little jig here, using the 1 1/4" Kreg pocket hole screws because this is 3/4 inch material. And then I'm just going to use my skillet impact on the low setting so I don't overdrive the screws. And I want to start with the top hole, and then I'm going to set this back just a touch so that when it tightens in, it'll pull it hopefully about flush. And there we go. Now I got a nice little angled piece, and then I just got to do this about a dozen or so more times, and then we'll move on to putting the bottom down. Okay, so we got all of our rings or boxes made up now. So now we got my bottom piece, and this is the bottom set of rails, and like I said before, this has got the flat edge for the part that's going to match up. So I'm just going to flip this over, and then I want to line this up in one corner and get it basically as square as I can with 2 sides. And once I get it at least close on one edge, I'm gonna come through with my Milwaukee stapler, which is a 3/8 inch crown stapler, and I'm just gonna come along and so I typically do 3 along the long edges for the larger crates, and then I'll do 4, and then I'll do 3 along the short edges. So I'll do another one in the corners and then 1 in the center, and that's more than enough holding power to keep these bottoms on, because most of these crates get used for either storing blankets or like dog toys, usually lighter items, and they typically just sit on the ground. And like I said, when I get done, I'll come back through, because some of these staples don't necessarily go all the way in, so I want to make sure I tap those flush with the hammer, just because if these are sitting on somebody's carpet, I don't want them to set this down or slide it and have it catch and start pulling up their carpet fibers and all that jazz. What else? Oh, and then this is a good time to square the bottom. So since I nailed on this one edge and it's flush with the outside, now I can come through, and this edge is the base is overhanging just a touch, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. I can now come through with, as I'm stapling, kind of hold this edge like so, and that'll square up the box as best, you know, as close as I can, as long as this base piece is square. Everything else should be square along with that. And then it just makes assembling the leg supports, or the top supports, that much easier. So these will go in like so, and then I'll put another screw on the inside here that attaches to these, and that way the whole thing is screwed together. It's nice and solid, it's not going to go anywhere. And then in the future, if I need to do any cutouts like I've done on these bins, I don't have to come back through and put screws in like I've done with these. That's going to conclude this video, and I'll try to remember to put a list of materials to build at least one of these crates, like what you'll need. And then on top of that, some of the hardware, so the Kreg screws and the staples and all that stuff. I'll try and put that in the description for this one. But that's all I got for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.